be after the audit committee, so I doubt anybody's been hovering the YouTube feed all this time.
Yeah.
If you're a fan, if you actually set up as a subscriber, you'll get a pop-up. I get a pop-up.
Do you?
But it never matters because I'm always here. I've never once not been here to see
You
it.
could have sent out a Facebook.
YouTube feed.
There we go.
He does.
Who was that?
And you're only not seeing us on the screen and you can see us right here, so hopefully that's okay. All right, I believe that we are going live on YouTube. I guess Kelly usually does a double check on the second device, so we can just make that so we should have.
Or she
Oh, yeah.
contacts Kim.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I only got one watching, and I'm pretty sure that's me on the phone right here, so I don't think Kim's watching, so we are live.
We are live.
We are live.
Thank you. Well, a belated good evening to those of you at home who are just joining us on YouTube. We had a couple of other issues that we had discussed which were not televised. But we are now beginning with the town council agenda. And we'll call the meeting to order by acknowledging that even for the people at home, we are again gathered in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral, present, and future territory of the Mi'kmaq people. And tonight we gather with the intent followed by the Living Peace and Friendship Treaties. And we do so with respect, cooperation, and in a spirit of coexistence. Council, we are continuing with the agenda that we had approved earlier. There will be an opportunity when this part of the meeting is over, before we go into our in-camera session, that the folks who may be joining us through YouTube will have an opportunity to ask questions about the things that we discussed tonight in this session. This televised session. And number one on our agenda tonight is the council remuneration policy. CAO?
Approval of agenda.
Well, we already did it.
Oh.
Okay, all right.
If I may,
Yes, please.
the previous session was a separate meeting.
Yeah,
So that was an audit committee meeting, and this is a council meeting, so
We should have-
the agenda for this meeting, I would suggest that we approve the agenda with the amendment that item 2 be deleted.
okay.
As suggested by
that
the
being
audit,
said-
as suggested by the audit
And I just want to
committee.
suggest we add municipal property to the grounds for closed session. So those two amendments, which I'm recording here.
Municipal property, and adding the municipal property to the closed
Yeah.
session.
So in future, if we happen to have another situation like this, we'll have two separate agendas prepared.
What should we do?
We did.
Well, I've only seen one.
That's the one we're on to now.
Sorry.
That's one more.
That's a separate one.
Okay, so.
It's been a long night.
Our new agenda consists of a discussion on the council remuneration policy, the town hall color survey response, and finally, the closed session under MGA 22(2)F litigation or potential litigation
We didn't vote on.
And now municipal property.
and municipal properties.
Yeah, that's, I was asking to add, but somebody still has to move and approve.
Yeah, okay.
I think I moved all that.
You did move that? Do we have a second? You've heard the motion? All in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you. Like pulling teeth. Okay, let's go to item number 1 on this agenda, which is the information concerning the council remuneration policy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, council had directed us in July to come back with a couple of amendments to the policy. And, as you know, our, procedures require the presentation of the draft policy ahead of the actual adoption of that policy. There's supposed to be a 7-day window between the presentation of the policy to a meeting and the adoption of the policy at a meeting. So this policy is being presented tonight. Take any feedback or corrections. I think some already came by email, but they're of a minor nature. And then it will actually appear formally on the September 10th agenda. So tonight is your opportunity to ask questions or raise concerns. And then the finalized with corrections that have already been referenced, and anything else from tonight will go to the September tenth. And that's simply in accordance with our practice and with the Municipal Government Act around policy approval. So that being said, if there's any questions that haven't been answered ahead of the meeting, Eric's not here, but I'll either answer them or I'll relay them to him.
Councillor Kerr.
So just to clarify again from the email question, discussion that was, that the date that the changes would be in place would be April 1st, not, 2025.
Yes, that was my
Is that correct?
understanding.
So there was an attempt to make a distinction in the policy, and we could talk about how people feel about it. With trying to say that the remuneration took effect April 1, 2025. But to consider allowing for the dependent care to
Yes.
begin
November.
Yeah.
in November. So that anyone who
Yeah.
needs it is
Yeah.
able to avail themselves of it. So in order to do that, the policy has to take effect sooner. With the clause specifying that the compensation changes don't take effect until
Mm.
August, or until April, because you can't have the policy not take effect, but some part of the policy take effect. You have to have the whole thing take effect, but then the clause specifying that that particular provision around remuneration would be deferred until April. So I don't know if it was incorrect in that sense, he had to make that change, that's what you guys talked about, but that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to bring the whole policy into effect now, but with the delay on the effective date of remuneration.
Is
That's a
it,
good question.
oh, sorry.
Councillor Wilson.
Wouldn't it be more efficient and tidier to just have the whole thing come into effect on November 1?
I mean, that's totally your discretion, and traditionally, the compensation changes start at April 1, so, but yeah, that's discretionary. I mean, it wasn't in this year's budget, but if you prorate it, the impact that was potential there mostly was on the potential that every single member of council avail themselves of every single opportunity to take the dependent care. If you take out that and then prorate the rest, you're only talking about maybe like a $10,000 difference on the fiscal year, so it's not like not having budgeted it isn't gonna really break the year. So that's, we'll take that from anyone if that's the intention here today, and it could either be by motion or consensus, but if it's contentious, I would suggest the motion, I guess, just to say, direct staff to amend the policy to take full effect on November 1st.
Councillor Kerr.
So what was the point of having the dependent care take effect November and the council remuneration take effect in April?
I mean, really, it's just because the council remuneration wasn't budgeted and traditionally compensation changes April 1.
Yes, exactly.
It's
Yeah,
discretionary, you could have it all take effect November 1st.
and you're saying that it wouldn't make a huge financial impact to.
Yeah, I think it's about $10,000 on the year, just because it's half a year. Double check, but you have the analysis in there, I think if you take out the dependent care, it was about $20,000 per year.
If used, right?
Well, no, yeah, that's right, I'm just taking out the dependent care consideration completely, because that's always gonna have been if you. If you just look at the count, it's 44. So 24,000 was the remuneration difference and 21,000 was the maximum difference based on dependent care. So if you're talking about 24 prorated to only be November, December, January, February, March. So it's 5/12 of the year, so you're pretty much $10,000.
So depending on the results of election day, we may have no members of council who require the dependent funding, or we could have 7 people for whatever reason.
And it could change as the term goes on.
Yeah. Councillor Wilson.
Can I make the motion that the policy with regard to remuneration take effect on November 1st in its entirety?
Okay, we have a seconder,
I'll second that.
So
all right,
does that include the adoption of the policy?
No, it would still be adopted on the 10th of September, but the whole thing would have an effective date of November 1st.
Okay,
adopted on the 10th of December, did you say?
September, that's when it's coming for, you can't adopt it tonight.
It just strikes me that November the 1st is a little bit messy.
Did we get a
It-
second there? I'm sorry, we should have said
Yes.
that.
Suzanne.
Okay, thank you, sir. I'll take the minutes.
That it's a little bit messy, and that December 1st might be less messy, simply because the current council is in place until November the 10th. It's just strikes me as being a little untidy.
Yeah.
Why not make it
So it's an
November
overlap.
Yeah,
12th?
we can make it the 12th.
Coincides with.
Yes,
your-
let me modify my, to the 12th, if that's okay.
November 12th?
I mean, that
Thank
won't be money, that if it's the same day that the companies, you're right, it would be very weird to have 12 days where you guys.
Seconder, do you agree?
Yes.
Okay,
That's a good.
so it's effective November 12th. Okay, on the question? All in favor? Motion's carried. Okay. So much for that. Now, the topic near to everyone's, the town hall color survey response.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You will all have received that today, closed yesterday. We had asked people to provide a ranking of the preference of the colors that were provided. So the way that SurveyMonkey expresses that is you can see a breakdown showing how it was ranked as first, second, third, or fourth choice of the different respondents. And then they go ahead and put a weighting on that. That gives you like a modified direct rank. So that does say that there is a lead, but also it's worth seeing that the lead candidate one was not everyone's first choice, it was most people's second choice. So that's option one.
Okay,
The other thing I would say is that ultimately, where you do have you don't have a majority of support for anything, and you do have a fair bit of nuanced feedback from this 51 people, but it is only 51 people who responded. It is council's decision what colors the building is painted. This is being provided to provide council with some additional background because we requested it. But once again, like we were in July, staff are requesting council to direct us as to what colors to tell the contractor. And they do need to order the paint this week, or I guess next week, but.
No pressure.
So all that being said, option one was according to SurveyMonkey the preference, but the actual slight lead in terms of first choice was option four. It was just that option one came out as most people's second choice. So if anyone has questions about that, let me know. So
Is that why the percentage was slightly higher? That was, I can't find the email now.
yeah, it's called Town Hall Paint Survey and it came out at
I know it's
4.1.
because I have them all in a linked conversation and I can't find the attachment.
So yeah, that's why option one is 29.4% first choice. Option four is 41.1% first choice. But option one was very much everyone's preference as a second choice at 39.22%. So what they do is they score it out. So the combined score gives option one the lead at 2.96 and option four at 2.88. You know, ultimately,
So-
it's just showing that people kind of have interest in all the different things. So you could look at what's common, you know, what is actually common between these options. I mean, the white trim is common to these two options, and it does seem to give a very clear indication that the public's preference is for white trim. But, you know,
I just have a stupid question, I guess. Stupid. The accent, what does that cover?
what on the building would be the accent? So in the little
Well, the
drawing,
blue for the accent, what?
yeah, in the little drawing, the red is the accent.
Oh, it's a decorative. See,
Yeah.
I asked that question.
It's like racing stripes.
Yes, yeah, they did. So that those would be the things that are accented. They're scallops. They're called.
It's like decorative belt shingle or decorative shingle belt.
Yeah.
Your Worship, just for clarification, if I may, the reference to window, that's blacking out the windows that we don't want people to look in, is that right?
Yeah, 3 out of 4 choices. It's just the insert that is going to be providing more panes because the windows have too few panes. So there will
It's just the
be
trim.
Oh, so this is the trim inside,
inside of it.
so you can still see through the window.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Oh, okay.
if we go with white windows, there is a possibility, I'm not a huge fan, of getting a thing that you put inside the existing window with the glues on to appear to have more
Oh,
sections.
The one.
We were not going to do that. We were going to fully replace them either way. And it's only the ones that are already new that need replacement, because the old ones need a replacement anyway, because they're not efficient windows. But these ones unfortunately are new windows, but also have to be replaced because they've got the right number of panes. So,
Which is part of, which is.
which
part
is the
of-
whole heritage.
Which is the whole
discussion.
heritage.
We're not-
Oh,
not going to
absolutely,
go back to that
yeah.
discussion. Yeah.
And
And have we ever determined, in the vein of the heritage, have we ever determined what the original color scheme was for the building?
So I will recap that as we're also on the YouTube here. So what was suggested by our contractor was that we look at a combination of historical imagery and paint scrapings. So Public Works did do paint scrapings, and we did go through the historic imagery. Kelly did lead on that. And we found that and also we found some reference actually in the minute books. So there were white paint scrapings that seemed to be the oldest, the deepest paint scrapings on the walls. And there was a note about white paint being ordered for the painting of the walls of the town hall. So we have this understanding that the building was painted white shortly after it came into possession of the town. Whether it was white before that, I have no idea when it was the Aberdeen Hotel, but shortly after it came into our possession, I guess it was painted white. And we also have historic imagery from that time that shows a strong contrast, it's black and white, between the dark windows and the light walls. So there's a supposition that the building had dark windows and white walls in the earliest period in which it was occupied by the town. That's really all that we can say. And the recommendation was that we strive for historical colors, but I mean, at the end of the day, there's a lot of judgment call contained therein. So I think the notion was that the trim and the windows be darker than the walls. That was sort of the traditional way to do it. It's not typical even in the last recent decades, and certainly it's not typical, now. So it's kind of council's call if that's the way we wanted to go. One of these designs more reflects that than the other. Option 4 has a more definitively, option 2 has a more definitively white body dark trim. And it was the least supported option with the public. Or one of the least, like it was decidedly not a popular option amongst the public. So.
That's number 4.
Councillor Carver.
So I don't think that we have to go along with the conservation consultant's suggestion that we use the traditional, use the color scheme that apparently was used many years ago. And as I said in my email comments about the black windows, I totally understand and appreciate that darker trim is traditional. And we can see that in the pictures of the old Royal Hotel, for example, where all the windows and all the vertical trim and roof lines are all darker than the body of the building, but they're not black. So I just find black a harsh color, not a very lovable color. So those are, but we gave them 4 options. People made a choice, and I would go with number 1 if that was the one that got 96%. In the report.
96% of the people surveyed?
I think that was the figure.
It was a combined score of 2.96.
2.9 versus 2.8.
It would have been the first or second choice of roughly 70% of people. And only 1% of people thought it was the worst. So SurveyMonkey combines those things to give you a number.
I mean, that's your block window.
And I would really, if there are gonna be the black vinyl inserts, to consider using a dark color, but not necessarily black for the casings around the windows. But I just leave it up to the powers that be at this point. I've had my say at length.
So a dark color complementary there, I guess, would either be using the accent color like the dark blue, or would
Could
be
be, yeah.
a dark gray to go with the gray body. You have a preference?
Yeah, it could be, yeah.
I'll say those are the 2 choices. I'd love it if you guys just said which one of those 2 I said. I want as little nuance as possible.
So Mayor, there's a lot of variables here, but the gray, isn't the gray body kind of very similar to the Royal Hotel building? Like very similar to the seniors, the McLeod Group building on Main Street? Like I like the idea of a transformation, new paint job, new color, like market departure from the old color. I like the white windows, I like the white trim. So, and I also like that option 4, where my head is also had the most #1 votes. So, like judging the merits of all of the 51 people who participated, and then here we have another 7 around the table, plus the CAO and Kelly, and Kelly maybe gets 4 or 5 votes.
I think so.
You know, that's a good subsection of the community. So I, you know, all things being equal, I prefer to go with the #1 choice, the choice that was chosen the most times as the preferred choice, which was
As
option
number
4.
1, which
As
was
option 4,
Four.
not option 4.
which 40% of all of the respondents picked that first, albeit there's, you know, let's face it, we have a small sample size, but so it's all what you think. But I do like the idea of an impactful, bold change of color. And we're gonna go through the motions. You're gonna spend all the money on changing the color and doing all the renovations to the building.
Yeah,
Have people notice that we've changed the color.
make it a motion.
Make it stick out.
So,
Councillor Owens Cross?
so you're going to have your window and your trim both white? So,
Oh, I think so. I think
yeah,
that's,
I think
so,
that's pretty standard.
Pretty
yeah,
standard.
yeah, okay.
So in fact, if I had done the survey, which I didn't do actually, I'm waiting to have my vote here.
fair enough.
I would have chosen option 4, but I would have added the commentary that rather than stark white, that it be rich, very rich off-white. To be not too stark.
Thanks.
Okay, end of commentary.
Well, and I like the thought, somebody could jump in with a motion, and what I'd suggest the motion not say option this or that. The motion say that I move that council direct staff to paint the building with the following colors. Trim this, main body this, window this. If somebody would be willing to do that.
How many shades of white paint are there?
Oh,
That's your
hundreds,
motion.
hundreds of shades.
Suzanne, where's your head on this, on the options? I think we got 3 for option 4 on the table.
You know what, I like them all, so I'm pretty good with,
Each side of the building are different.
Yeah.
no,
I'm blaming Francis regardless of what we choose.
well, between option 4 and 1, I think I'm pretty neutral on them, it's, I just don't, see much difference except for the window being black in the option 1, so I think option 4 probably would be my choice.
But like Dylan said, I think we should just go with colors, not go with the options. So if we wanted to do option 1 with all color trim and window, then we could do that.
Yeah, you could just do option 1 with the window white instead of black. I mean, whoever makes the motion gets to decide where we're gonna start.
Body gray or blue and to accent this color, and I think it's the best way for it to go.
I think so, thank you, Richard. So somebody just has to.
So option 1 with trim and window white.
It's one of the options.
Main body gray.
So,
So we want the main body gray or we want it blue?
I thought it was a light blue when I saw it on my computer at home.
That one is gray.
It is gray.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not down with gray.
Gray walls with white trim is probably the most common coloration you're gonna find of, because Cape Cod, right?
Very Cape Cod.
Ours would have to be painted gray, they wouldn't be natural untreated gray.
But that blue looks really rich. That looks good to me. So where are we? We got, Mary, do you have an opinion on this? We got 3 for option 4. And it looks like Richard's somewhere between option 1 and changing option 1 to an option 5.
Well, my house is gray, like option 1. But notwithstanding that, I find the dark colors a bit off-putting for a building. this large.
The size, yeah,
The dark blue,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, okay.
yeah. But, you know, we've got lots of dark colored houses in town.
Well, it doesn't matter, we've got 950 people are gonna say that.
But they can all see how much you guys try to get.
Unfortunately, we have to make the decision tonight.
the other thing is they're gonna say, people will say, why do a survey if you change it
You're gonna ignore it.
around the council table? So.
But what the survey pointed to was 1 and 4, and it's.
Yeah, so, I think I would be prepared to make a motion to support option 4. With the main body in a dark-ish blue,
Dark.
medium to dark blue. With that aqua turquoise accent. Very marine colors. With off-white, a rich off-white trim and window frames.
That's an
Okay.
outstanding motion.
I think we should have a subcommittee to determine what shade.
Oh, don't worry,
This-
Suzanne will be fixing this next year somehow, there'll be a committee. We should.
Second that All right.
You do? Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Councillor Carroll, would you care to
Yes.
repeat your motion? The colors are going
got
to be,
Medium to dark blue,
yeah,
main body. Accent, that aqua sea
Greenish
green color. And window frames and trim in a rich, lustrous, luscious, off-white.
okay.
I'll read back the motion. Just so-
Okay.
So the
Underline the really good words, Tony.
The council directs staff to paint the town hall in the following colors: main body, medium dark blue, accent, light aqua green, trim off-white, window off-white. Rich.
I didn't say lustrous.
Yeah, we rich, they're lustrous.
Off-white bracket, luscious.
Lustrous.
You want a luster color.
Okay,
So
but we have a motion.
we have a motion, okay, so this is discussion.
Yeah.
I really do, I mean, despite the levity around the table, I do think it's a serious discussion. Because I think that the way that the town hall looks and presents itself is presenting the face of the town. It's a symbol of the town. It's what people see about us, the elected people, the people who work here. And the people who own the building, who are the citizens. So it's a symbolic, it has symbolic value. So I think it's an important decision, really.
Okay, thank you.
Difficult, but
I
important.
like most of that color combination, except I'm not sure about the blue on a larger, this size building. I think it's gonna maybe be too much, I don't know.
Soon find
Okay.
out. Soon find out.
Yeah.
All right, on the motion, on the question. All in favor? Motion is carried. There goes my zebra strips. Okay, all right.
And I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the CAO for putting up with my long persistent questioning.
I read them too.
Did you?
I just wanted to
You
make
didn't
sure that's
respond,
a
though.
decision people could live with, and I.
Oh, in my heart I did. Okay, and thank you for all the citizens who considered it, and in particular, those that chose to respond. And I hope we can all get behind the decision to use the colors that we are going to use. And that brings us to the end of our agenda. But before we entertain a motion to go in camera, does anyone watching from home have a comment?
Well, let's start with anyone in.
Yeah,
the room.
anyone here.
I'll Go check and see if anybody's watching from home.
Okay, you have a comment?
I would like to give an appreciation to what Penny said about the color scheme, because I think it's a great nod to the nautical heritage of Mahone Bay. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have.
Bye, Helga.
Yeah.
See you now.
We have 5 people watching.
I'm concerned that the chat isn't here. I'm not sure if we'll get to the chat. Sorry.
Did you say there's new people watching?
No, there's five people watching. Some people showed up, but I'm just not seeing the.
May not be any question.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't know. No, if there were, I think we've lost them now anyway. So, if there is anyone out there that can still hear us, then just send your questions in by email to
Yes.
clerk@hamiltonhomebay.ca.
Send them into the clerk's office and they will be responded to. Okay, then with that, we would entertain a motion to go in camera under MGA 22(2)F litigation or potential litigation and municipal properties. So moved, seconded by Councillor Now, all in favor, motion's carried.